This is a 2018 Maserati Ghibli. I'm not a big four-door sedan guy, but if I had to buy one, this would be a serious contender. It's got plenty of horsepower, a sport mode that sounds awesome, yada yada yada. But of all the cars I've driven, it's got two things going for it that others just don't have. First, it's fun to say the word Maserati, as in, kids, go find dad's keys to the Maserati. Second, the grille. This grille outswags anything I've ever driven. My two guests today are the Stanfords, which sounds to me like a 1980s primetime soap opera. The Stanfords are a homeschooling family with 7 children. Huh, that sounds familiar. Trey Stanford teaches a wide variety of literature courses. He has a BA and a master's from the University of Dallas and a master's and PhD from Catholic University. Mary Stanford has a Master of Theological Studies and teaches classes on doctrine and theology of the body. I have no idea what that is. I think it has something to do with weightlifting, but I'm not totally sure. Anyway, I hope to find out on this episode of Professors on Break. Oh, hey guys.
Hey,
thanks for meeting me.
Thanks for having us.
You guys want to go and grab some coffee? You're done with classes for the day, right?
I think so.
All right, let's go for some coffee. Ready?
Great. Sounds like a winner.
I think you guys like the car I got for today.
It's got to be better than our car.
Are you guys?
Sorry, honey.
I saw the golf cart episode.
Well, there you go. Well, we needed something with an extra seat, so the golf cart wouldn't work as much as I tried.
I'm glad I provided the excuse for an extra seat.
Wow.
What do you think?
Fancy.
Fantastic. That'll do. That'll do.
Yeah, all right, let's
That'll
do
be
it.
fine.
Let's get some
Yeah.
coffee. Let's go.
I'm not driving.
No, I think I'll drive this time. So you were born in Chicago.
Born and raised.
Or like what part of Chicago? Because some viewers might want to know.
I know. Parents both from the west side of Chicago, but I grew up in the western and then northwest suburbs, so not really Chicago. The suburbs.
Okay. Does that make you more of a Cubs fan, or?
You see, when you're from the suburbs, unless you're from the south side, you can root for anything.
Oh, really?
So
Oh, nice.
we root for the Cubs, the Sox, but mostly in the Bulls, but mostly the Bears.
Mostly the Bears. So you picked the most or the least successful team lately.
I you know, a diehard fan is not a fair weather fan.
That's true.
She knows all the words to the Super Bowl shuffle.
I do.
Well, now you have to do it. So how did you two meet? Trey, are you from Chicago, that area also?
I am
or?
not.
You are not?
I'm
Okay.
not. My dad was in the military, but I was born in San Antonio, Texas. We moved to Germany almost immediately, like three months after I was born.
Oh, okay.
But Mary and I met when I was taking classes at CUA for my PhD, and she was taking classes at the John Paul II Institute for Studies on Marriage and Family, which was very close by, just across the street at that point, in the Dominican House of Studies.
Okay.
So we met on a blind date.
We met on a blind
Did
date.
you really?
We did.
Wow. Very nice. Who says it doesn't work?
I always tell people, you gotta be open.
So you've probably gone out for coffee a few times before, I'm guessing. Like studying for school, right?
A few times, but we kind of have disagreements about coffee, actually.
I like this. Okay.
Trey likes coffee. For him, it's an essential, but he doesn't like to spend a lot of money on coffee.
Okay.
Whereas for me, it's sort of the frou-frou experience of getting something fancy and creamy and frothy made up for you and being out and socializing.
You like that?
So I feel like he's so nice. He supports me, supporting our local shop.
I was going to ask, this is a family show, but theology of the body, all right, so could you give us the sort of like the G-rated 30-second version of that?
Yeah, happily the title is a little more spicy than the content.
Well, theology of the body, that's, yeah.
It's really a class on the way in which the bodily and the spiritual dimensions of the human person relate. How are they related?
Really? Okay.
Particularly in the face of the sort of cultural confusion that is out there today, particularly with regard to the fact that the body is going to rise again and going to be part of our eternal destiny.
Well, that's the plan, right?
That's the plan.
That's why I work out. I don't want to look bad. So Trey, you taught 4 classes today.
Yes.
Now we're doing this on a Wednesday, so these are about an hour in length, right?
Yes, about 50 minutes each.
Okay.
Today was a little easier because I was giving a test in 3 of the classes, 3 of the sections.
Nice.
Really?
But easier for me anyway.
Must be fun to sit at the front of the class. When
It
there's
is.
I mean, you watch them sweat. Like you just sit there and look up baseball scores.
I did
or
well.
football,
I was
whatever,
actually
right?
working. I did try to work. I prayed for
okay.
them while
Right.
they were taking their
Yeah.
test, but I also
Yeah, he was
Did a little work,
working.
too.
Yeah, all right. So we talked a little bit about how you met. Now, how can I ask how old you were when you met, or is that like give away like family secrets or whatever?
Actually, that's a little bit awkward because on our first
Oh,
date,
good then.
on the blind date, we talked for hours and hours, and at one point, somehow, for some reason, Trey showed me his driver's license, and I noticed that his birthday was like the next day.
Really?
And
That was a plan. That was
It is
totally on
awkward.
purpose.
And
Right.
so it's
I want to make it as awkward as
because
possible.
he did end up inviting me out again
The
that
next day.
but he didn't tell me. I just sort of took.
I didn't know
I
she'd
noted
notice that.
his birthday was coming, and so
I didn't-
It's
yeah.
at that it's like having Valentine's Day be your first date. You just it's an awkward pressure of
That's
like,
totally
do I
rough.
acknowledge? Is this true? Do I ignore?
All part of my plan.
And we were supposed to meet at this public place, but there was this terrible storm. It was a movie showing.
Also part of my plan.
Whatever.
Every couple
whatever,
has a good
yeah.
story, right? Isn't that
So-
what they say?
I tried to do something breezy and fun, and I tried to bring him a Hostess cupcake
Those are good.
because they're fun.
Well, it's
and it was
birthday-y.
like, it's
Yeah,
cake.
right. Yeah.
And I'm telling you,
I've had worse.
Yeah, they didn't have one at the store that I was looking at. They didn't have a single.
DC is a
one.
rough place
It
sometimes
was,
to find.
it's
At least where I was living.
It was a
It's a hard
drugstore
place to
in
find a
DC.
cupcake.
You can't find a cupcake when you want one all the
that's
time.
a shame.
So
Yeah.
I brought
Major
him
downside of the
a
city.
Mr. Good Bar.
Oh, nice.
It worked.
It was nutty.
It worked.
It was tasty.
As long as it all worked out. However it started,
It's
here
fine.
you
However
are.
it started.
Here we are.
So when you talking about this, I remember you gave a lecture when you talked about how you've read the Odyssey something like 27 times, and every year you
Not quite
teach
that
it.
many.
But you said you get something new out of it every time. What are you getting out of it? What's the new thing?
I'm waiting to see what will happen this time.
Oh, okay, cool.
This go round. A lot of times what I'll see is something that a student will see and that I haven't seen before.
Oh, really?
And
Okay,
so
good.
that will be new to me. Something
Okay.
will be brought up. But my own ideas on the Odyssey have really been evolving.
Really?
I think a great deal. Just while I've been here, absolutely. The more you turn to it, the more a great work of art I think is going to reward you, and that's certainly been the case with the Odyssey.
Well, how's your coffee? Good?
It's really good.
I'm trying one
You
of
got
the
iced, I got
girly
hot.
drinks. It's really tasty.
When you grade papers, what you drink? Do you need coffee to like when I go in the morning and I start, writing, I need the coffee because otherwise, I can't write anything. I always tell the baristas, you're doing the most important work on earth. I know that because I'm doing the second most important work on earth by writing, and I can't do mine until they do theirs. Is that kind of the same thing?
Complimentary.
Philosophical thinking that
Is
you
it?
probably learned at Christendom.
Really? All right, good. Thank you. I'm going
hope
to pass
so.
it on to some,
Philosophical habits of mind.
Yes, it's a
see if
habit.
Walter can adjust the transcript a bit. See
I
what we
know.
can do.
I think you could probably get some.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Life credit, right?
Life
Isn't that a
credit
big thing now?
post-graduation, that is a big thing.
Yeah.
It
Let's
is?
head back out and take a drive. What do you
Oh,
think?
okay.
Okay.
Sounds like a
Right.
winner.
So there are some things that are considered classics, right? Classic books. But there's probably a few that you think are not so classic. What would those be?
Well,
Yeah,
see, I'm just
exactly.
going to offend someone is the problem there.
How about no
Offensive.
living authors?
Or how about overrated?
Overrated.
Yeah, overrated's good. And unless it's one of the two books I officially wrote. Those are.
Okay.
By the way, those are not
awful.
overrated.
What were
Yeah, they
those?
are awful, but they're not overrated because they're not rated at all. So it's good. You could do a course about my two books, like
Yes.
breaking them down, like why they're a disaster. That would be good.
No.
My kids would go. They love reading my mail every week. They're like, John Clark's crazy. They think it's great. They never read my columns. People come, people ask me occasionally, like, does it ever bother your kids? Like, you write about them? I'm like, it doesn't bother them in the least. They never read my pieces. They don't read the columns. They read
No.
the hate mail.
I have to
read the-
say,
Yeah, they love it. They think it's hilarious.
that's something I am worried about because I have not been able to
You worried
sit
about
in on
my
Mary's-
bad mail?
Not really, but there's a related issue, and that is that Mary, I believe, uses a lot of family references to make points in her classes.
Rarely.
Really?
Rarely.
Really?
And on occasion she'll admit these to me. She'll mention one or two, but for example, when I have been able to
Just good things, though, right? Like, my husband, gosh, that guy.
she gets
he
when
was in the
she's
gym the
done.
other day. He put about 415 on the bench. Right? Only good
She
things.
threw me under the bus the other day at the.
What?
That was, you did. You did.
You were supposed to be this happy couple. What happened? We were looking to you for guidance.
I
serious.
totally bragged about you. I did a theology on tap once, and I was talking about the differences between men and women, and oh, it's always sort of awkward at the end because there's this huge bar full of people, and this guy raised his hand as though he had a real question. And
Oh, I see that. Okay, something
it was
coming
just
here.
one of those questions that wasn't really a question. It was, here, everybody, haha. And he said,
Was it funny?
So, what is the answer to the question, honey, do I look fat in this? And everybody laughed, and then I realized, okay, I guess that he just wanted to be funny. But I remembered that a few months earlier, I just had a baby. So a few months earlier, I was pregnant, and I had gone to an appointment, and the doctor sort of was a little bit hard on me about
Really?
gaining too much weight.
Oh, come on. That's
And
not cool.
you're fragile, you're super pregnant, you're not going to turn this ship around, at least until after. And I called home right after, I wasn't quite on the road yet, and I just broke down in tears complaining to Trey about it. And he just said, honey, I want you to drive to the nearest drive-thru and get a milkshake.
Hey.
That was the answer to the question.
Yeah, now that's the theology of the body.
That's the theology of the
milkshake.
body
Yeah, there you go.
in action. And I told the story at the theology on tap, and it was like silence in the room. And then everybody knew. You see, and then I had a friend that told me later, he said, Mary, I wish you hadn't told us that story because Trey's making us all look bad.
Well, listen, I'll help him out. I'll look bad here. I got a story for you that's somewhat similar in some way. So right before Lisa and I started dating, now I was trying to date her for 2 years. So I was trying to impress her though. So I try to show my sensitive side. So she's telling this really heartbreaking story about how she was taking care of a couple of ducks that her grandmother gave her, and it turned out one of the ducks actually died. She was teary-eyed. She was like emotional about the whole thing. Because she said what happened was she stopped paying attention to them because she went to watch The Twilight Zone. And when she came back, one of her ducks had died. It was really sad. She's telling me the story, right? So she stops. She's teary-eyed. Now remember, I'm trying to impress her. And the first question I asked her was, which Twilight Zone was it? Apparently,
You were paying attention. You were paying attention.
It's true. I was here. Thank you.
Listening.
Thank you. He's a keeper. That's a good observation. See, this is why you teach literacy. You see those subtleties that mean so much to me. Well, that's all, folks. That's our show. Season 1, anyway. If you like what you saw this season, please let somebody know. In fact, let everybody know. We'd like to do a Season 2. After all, there are more Christendom professors out there, more cars, and by the grace of God, more coffee. Before we say goodbye, I'd just like to thank one guy in particular, along with his team. He's the director, Colin Mason. This guy has serious talent. During these shows, we've become really good friends, and our favorite thing to do together is argue. In fact, I have more fun disagreeing with this guy than I do agreeing with just about everybody else. I'd also like to thank Niall O'Donnell, who has not only helped make this show better, but has believed in this project from day one. Lastly, I'd like to thank all the professors who made this show possible. Without them, it would just be a show with me sitting around sipping lattes and cappuccinos. It would be, as someone once put it, a show about nothing. See you next season.